Hey, what's going on? Want to do a movie review on the film Harriet. It's loosely based off of a abolitionist named Harriet, who was also a former slave from Maryland. Harriet was portrayed by Cynthia Erivo, and I think she did a wonderful job. She was phenomenal. The acting of her was great. She gave like 100% of her best in that film, I think. And also some of the other cast did well too. But this film is about a abolitionist woman who was once a slave who got fed up with the way how she was treated and the way how her family were treated and sold off, especially with her sisters, and also the abuse that was suffering during slavery. She actually had the turning point where she wanted to become an abolitionist was when she and her husband at the time, who was slave, was denied, which was supposed to be a promise for their freedom. But instead of her receiving her freedom, she received like a slap in the face. And I'm not saying literally, but figuratively, a slap in the face, as in having the papers of a promised freedom, which was inherited by her father, ripped in front of her. And her master, who was Gideon, actually uh, made like some kind of like a deal with her, such as, not really a deal, but made a promise, as in no matter what kind of deal or promise it made, the proposition was that she's going to be a slave for life. And that kind of made Harriet more disgust. So she made like a couple of schemes to want to be slave, and she think the only way to do it is either choose by death or by freedom. And her husband was talking about lawyers, and so which also made the slave masters, with her and some of the blacks around her, kind of skeptical, and they seem a little too knowledgeable about knowing the law, because they mentioned lawyers. So to teach her a lesson, he wanted to sell Harriet to another plantation, and before they can get to her, she ran. And she also has the gift to see like the future, and that's her way of talking to God, and God showing her blueprints on how to escape certain situation. And the way how that work is, she'll like be in a trance and she'll faint, where she have like visions of the future, and sometimes she keep reminiscing the past where her two sisters were sold. Well, they caught up with her on a bridge, which she jumped across the bridge, and they assumed that she dead, so they stopped looking after her. But her body was washed from the river to a land in which she keep which she keep walking and running to, and try to find the abolitionist, which was the guy from Philadelphia, which the preacher told her. So she actually met up with him in Philadelphia. But before she went to Philadelphia, she been to Delaware, which she also know where the location at, to meet with a blacksmith. Well, she finally became free, literally, and she had a chance to be free, but couldn't help but to think about her husband and her kids, which ironically, after a year go by, she go to look for her husband, which she end up doing, going all the way back to Maryland to find her husband, to learn that he's married and have a kid, which got her upset. But she see it as a way and an opportunity to free other people who need to be freed, and which she did. Because let me tell you, she was a rider on that. Like, she freed not only her family but other slaves who need to be freed. And one of her best friends from Philadelphia taught her how to use a gun, which she used that gun as protection. And most of the time when she pulled that gun out, it was for some of these other traders that actually threatened to want to snitch or either say they're not with it. And she even have gun with them. Either you're gonna be free or you're gonna die. Like, she didn't play. And I heard about that part of Harriet Tubman within her throughout her life, that like she was a rider. Well, come to turn out, she freed like 50 to 70 to hundreds of slaves with the railroad. And also, there's like this one sellout named Bigger Long who also worked with his slave master. He actually, in my opinion, just like some of these other, sellouts do back in the day, he actually tried to throw a wrench in the plot of Harriet and try to get him caught up. Which right by the end, he ended up getting this dumb self killed, trying to snitch on Harriet and everything. Trying to snitch, try to harm her, try to kill her. But her former master killed the guy who was helping to look for Harriet, just so he can get the reward of catching her himself and the glory of it. Which goes to show you that being a sellout doesn't actually work. And they also touched on like the past she had, because she was given a birthmark. It wasn't a birthmark. She called it a birthmark in the application, but it's really a bruise, a scar she had with her former slave master was trying to throw a piece of heavyweight used to go fishing with, that ended up hitting her in the head, which was meant to hit some of the other people that was near her. And I think that could be the reason why she's able to have certain, like, that gift. That's what I'm assuming. But she stated it caused internal bleeding. And she ended up like standing up to her former master with a gun, and she knew how to shoot a gun real good, and stood up to him. And she didn't kill him, but she immobilized him where he couldn't shoot a gun by shooting the gun out of his hand, which was great. And I find that's the most exciting part of the movie that she's able to do. Well, she got on her horse and go off. And in the end, it kind of touched on her trying to lead the Civil War with the black Union soldiers to help free slavery, because she sees slavery as inhumane, which it was. And they show her being a spy for the slave rebellions, like the Union soldiers. She was a spy for them. And I think this is a good film, and I think you all should look at it. After you listen to this, I just gave away some spoilers. I know that I have, but this is for some of the people who still want to see it again. I suggest that you all go look at it. And this could just go to show how inhumane slavery was. Like, it's like kind of, we as black Americans go through a lot, and this movie kind of touched on it. There's some parts in the movie that I didn't know that happened. I didn't even know that like with Harriet, I didn't know that she was that brave, like, and that courageous and that skillful. And that's one part I like about it. But anyway, you can leave a comment and tell me what you think. And if you are going to see it, I suggest that you go look at it.